Hi.
So, today I will be taking your mock interview, I think, in Android related to Android development role. Brief me about your experience, like from how much time you are working in Android, and currently in what capacity you are working, and which kind of app, basically, which domain of the app you are working right now.
Yeah, so I have total 4+ years of experience in Android development, and currently I am working at a retail company. So I'm working on their official Android app. Um,
Okay.
so just doing some adding features or and improving the existing features. So that's how I'm currently working on, and I'm just looking for the new opportunities. So for that, I started preparing for this interview. So that and then that's the reason I scheduled this mock interview as well, just to understand how the um currently what's the exactly going on right now regarding the interview purpose. I currently I'm interviewing one of the company. Currently I'm interviewing, and the first round was a coding interview, which I already passed. So for the second round, it's the it would be the they will be asking to schedule single page application, and also some um, CS questions. I think it's just included in the like what may pram I don't know. I think it may be basic CS questions or something, and design and architecture round as well. So I wasn't preparing, interview. It just that I got this call, so I thought to try once, and just to take the experience and all. So yeah,
Okay.
it's been a while.
So,
I
uh,
didn't interview, so
okay. So the thing is, this particular, like whatever interview I am going to take, right? So that interview is going to be specific to Android only. Okay. So whatever Android use case or scenario I will give, I will try to judge your overall Android knowledge or like skill, basically how you can design the low level design at least. Okay. So
also, would you be, I mean,
hmm,
after this, session, would you be able to share some, if you have some any documentation or any references which I could, use to prepare for the round?
okay.
Mm.
The thing is, there is no documentation as such, but just tell
Reference.
me like which areas of the Android you have worked on. Like it also depends on your theoretical knowledge against your actual work experience, right? Which scenario you have handled in Android and whatever other things you might be knowing, right? But the thing is how much you can apply.
Like the
The thing is,
architecture, like the work.
ah,
So MVVM architecture is the mostly I worked on,
okay,
and I mean, I know a little bit about Compose, but I have not actively used it. I mean, it's just
okay,
we are still working. I'm still actively working with the XML files,
okay.
and the language is Kotlin. I mean, it's been and Java. I mean, we used to do Java, but now it's Kotlin. So that's the current.
Okay,
Uh,
so let's start with first interview question then. Okay, I will I will just give you one interview. Can you see one interview problem statement? Want you to design is one I want to design one app which will provide a couple of apps. Okay, one is the document vault kind of thing. You might be knowing the vault applications, right? Like digi files or something like that, or what I would say, money vault or credential authentication manager or something like that, right? So they what they do is they kind of keep the data or files secure, like encrypted kind of thing, right? So I want you to design a doc vault which will have a secure PDF. Like it main job is to kind of save all the PDFs in secure way. And there is a doc viewer application that is a separate application. Okay. So just give the end user the control to select the video PDF for viewing it. Okay. And apply maximum security. What I'm looking here is applying maximum security in doc vault. Like if you can see, right? It will just provide the read-only access to the files. Okay. It should provide the minimum permissions, like minimum permissions to doc viewer to view the file, to open the file basically. Okay.
Okay.
And those permissions should be flexible, like runtime can be revoked like once the file is closed, there is no need to have the permission over the file. So those permissions should be revoked, kind of thing. Okay. So there are many components will come into play for this particular use case. Can you think of and can you come up with any pseudo code or kind of thought process, like how you go about it basically?
Okay, so we need to create an application which gives the user to just upload the PDF and viewing it, but not editing.
Just viewing it, user can add the PDF and that PDF can be opened in doc viewer only, which is a specific application.
So, I mean, the doc viewer would be the one which we default we have in our mobile devices, right? The usually we have a PDF.
You can assume that is also it's your sister app only. That is
Okay,
also
okay.
your sister app only. No other app can view those things. And to that app also, if you want to give the permission, those permissions should be minimal only.
Okay. So regarding the, I mean, we could while user clicks on viewing the PDF, maybe we could use the broadcast receiver just to notify the only system app which we want to support. So that should be the PDF one. So it would select that particular app only.
Why broadcast? Why broadcast? Can't you just start an activity also?
Yeah, I mean, we could use the intent also. Sorry, yeah, we could use the directly
Yeah.
intent also. Correct. Yeah, the workers is not needed. Yeah. So yeah, we could use an intent for that to open that particular PDF. But for the permissions, I mean, you for permissions, I'm not very sure about like how to restrict the permission for editing. But
I don't forget about editing. I don't need anything to edit or something like that. It's a PDF thing. Just apply permission framework for viewing purpose only. The runtime you will allow those permission to view the PDF file. And once that PDF file is closed, those permissions should be gone.
yeah, but permission also needs to be controlled from our app, right, and not from the PDF through.
Doc viewer. Basically, our doc vault should have total control. Basically, doc vault should have total control about the access and everything. And doc viewer is the only app which will be able, depending on the permissions and everything, which will be able to open the PDF basically and display to the end user.
Okay.
So how would you kind of restrict the access to the doc viewer app basically to the file present in the doc vault, or whatever file user has selected in the doc vault, how you kind of manage that permission to that file?
I mean, in the manifest file, we could control the permissions, but I mean that's the only way. But I haven't I'm not very sure that adding permissions in the manifest would restrict the access in the doc viewer. But I mean, I haven't tried like that. But usually you control permissions using the manifest file, so we could add
Yeah,
that
that
one.
is fine. That is fine. Like you can control the permission and anything else, any edge you will get by declaring permissions or something like that. Since you are using two sister apps, basically, do you have any edge over the permission framework, or you just ask for the permission at runtime or something like that?
At runtime, we could ask the permission for
Okay.
editing. Yeah.
If that is not the desired behavior, like if I want to provide the implicit permission, and that is also on need basis. Have you explored permission framework with
No,
respect
no,
to
no,
different capabilities, basically?
no.
Achha,
I
okay,
mean,
fine.
usually,
Hmm,
for the location permissions, we have this. I mean, I tried that
hmm.
one location permission. So if we prompt user to give the access to the location permission, so that just show the system dialog box to give the permission, like or if it's precise or whatever the permission. Um, but in this case, we won't be. I mean, in this case, we don't want user to edit the document. So obviously, we won't be showing any dialog box, anything to the user, for this one. But so internally, we need to handle the permissions, etc. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm not
So
very familiar.
if app if app have same signatures, right? There are certain permission mechanism gets enabled automatically.
Okay.
Okay, that is one thing. Okay, fine. Uh, Suppose both of your app have the permission, like your doc viewer has the permission to access a certain file. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I need to keep those PDFs secure. So which Android capability I will use to keep those files secure, basically?
I mean, we could use a share preference, which would be the in that we could give the permission just to be so that it could be secure until the app is installed. And I mean, we could use that one, so that it would be stored locally also, and we don't need
But I have my physical files, right? I have certain PDFs, right? So how would I store those files securely in my doc vault? How can I? So that
I mean,
other apps
if,
or other process will not have any access, cannot have access. Even if the device get rooted, nobody can kind of able to access those files.
okay. Mm, uh,
Have you used the encryption mechanism in Android?
no, I haven't. No,
Acha, encryption keys or anything you haven't used, yeah?
no, no.
Okay, fine. Okay, there
So I
is a
mean, using
encryption.
encryption is the way to store the data securely in the device.
That is one way. That is one way. Like there is a data store in Android. There is also a shared preference also you can use to store the data. The thing is, if you want to encrypt the data, right? You are able to encrypt the data, but you need an encryption key, right? So that key is basically provided by Android APIs, and that key is stored in hardware storage of the Android, something like that. Okay, so no one have that access to that encryption key basically, but only your app can access that encryption key, and using that key you can either encrypt data or decrypt data basically. So
Got it.
that is
Okay.
a thing. That is a thing. Okay, fine. Encryption to secure storage. Okay, fine. Suppose your files are secure, okay, and both your doc vault has provided permission to your doc viewer, okay. How the doc viewer will access the file from doc vault?
Oh, I mean, so when I click on PDF, like how to access the one?
But you
Uh,
will not send the PDF through intent, right? What
yeah.
you will send the through intent to the doc viewer? That is what I'm asking.
When I click on it, when they click on the PDF,
You must be using WhatsApp, right?
yeah.
In WhatsApp, if you want to send some contact to some our friends or something like that,
Hmm.
what mechanism gets triggered in WhatsApp?
We open the gallery.
I need to send contacts, not photo. Okay, if I want to send the photos, then gallery gets open. I find, but okay, if that gallery gets opened, how actually photo gets transferred to WhatsApp? Do you have any idea?
No, no.
Okay, so basically, it happens through file URI. Okay, so there is a if any file is there, right? So that file, if file is not encrypted, right? And if you want to create the encrypted file out of non-encrypted file, you can do that. You can store it as any file, any extension, whatever you want. And then there is a file URI. There is a file URI, but which component? At least tell me the component. Which component is used to kind of provide the data from one app to another app? Suppose I am WhatsApp, right?
Hmm.
If I want to get the photo from the gallery app, what
Hmm.
component of the gallery app I should be talking to?
Uh, I mean,
Any Android component, or are you aware of which shares the data to other Android app?
when with,
Okay, tell me the Android component you have worked on.
um, I mean, regarding this opening one URL.
And then forget about the URL. Tell me the Android components you declare in the manifest. You can
Oh,
declare in the manifest.
activities.
Correct? Correct.
Yeah.
Then
And I mean, permissions we declare in the manifest file.
that is not the component, okay? That is the metadata in the manifest. Activity is the valid component. Activity is the valid component. What other components you can declare in the manifest? That is what I'm asking.
I mean, in intents. I mean, we just launch one.
Activity is valid thing. Activity you can declare in the manifest. What other components? I think one of the component you kind of used initially in wrong way, but you mentioned that component basically.
You
Receiver,
mean?
receiver is the another broadcast receiver is the another component you can declare in the manifest.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. What else? Have you declared any other component in the manifest apart from activity?
We, I mean, the intents. I mean, I will not calculate because intent we usually do with the activity for launcher ones and
Intent you can do with any other component. Okay, don't
yeah.
kind of couple intent with activity only. You will have intent filter for broadcast receiver also, even for service also, for that matter. Can you tell me any other component you can declare in the manifest? I already gave you three. Okay, activity, receiver, and service. Now only one is remaining. Can you tell me? Have you worked on content provider?
Not. I mean, no.
No.
I
Okay.
haven't actually I haven't worked with broadcast or services also much because I mean services we usually use for any background tasks to run. So I mean that's I mean I haven't used that one. In fact, broadcast receiver also I just know theoretically but not practically.
Not practical.
Um,
Okay. So basically, content
content
provider is the component where you can actually share the data of your app to other app in controlled manner, in more secure manner, in more controlled manner. Fine.
oh,
Okay, fine. Not an issue. Uh, then okay, permissions. You okay? Fine. Fine. Okay. Um, any other thing I can ask? I was thinking of asking the scenario based question, but let me kind of pull back more specific questions. Yeah.
Basically,
Mhm,
I mean, my goal is to, if something is I am missing, like because I haven't worked so many things, like for example, the one which you just gave me. I mean, if I could study, I could,
mhm.
do some research on it just in case if any questions comes up on that one. So that's very useful. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I was kind of trying to take the scenario based question so that I can cover the maximum thing. So that was the motive. Okay. I have covered the manifest part of it. ठीक है. Suppose you mentioned me, right? You have kind of worked on the location permission, correct?
Mm, mm,
Ah, suppose if you need to kind of design one app, which is a
mm,
quick bite app, okay? Quick bite app, which kind of lets you browse the restaurants, like whatever nearby restaurants of your location, browse their menu, order the thing, like order from multiple restaurants, and then basically make the payment, online payment, okay?
mm.
And in return, you will kind of provide a user a notification ki, uh, order is placed, order is picked up, your order is reached your place, something like that. Okay. So these are the notifications. And also you need to support the offline mode in which if user is not able to place the order, at least he is able to just skim through the various restaurant and the skim through the menus of those restaurants, basically. So can you provide the high level design of that app? Just I need a high level design, no internal details. If I ask how would you design a particular part, just give me brief of that brief also. Just that much. Nothing, nothing in detail. Okay.
Okay, so this is the requirement to ask the location permission every time, or is it like if once user gives the permission, then it could be stored there. I mean,
Yeah.
locally.
So user can provide the permission while using the app, or can provide the permission permanently also. But
Mhm.
location is mandatory. Without location, you cannot work. Your app
I
cannot work.
mean, so because this application is highly dependent on the location one, so when the
Correct.
users open the app on the
Hmm.
splash screen only, we would be showing this dialog box that if user wants, I mean, if user wants to give location permission or not. So when user
Correct.
clicks on it, we would be fetching the location, and based on the nearest location we would show our list of restaurants
Hmm.
nearby, list of restaurants, and
How would you
uh,
display those restaurants? How would you display those restaurants? Let's say your app has main page, landing page, okay?
mhm.
Main landing page. So if I want to kind of display the list of restaurants, what components you will use and reason behind that?
I mean, we could use recycler view to show the list of restaurants,
Okay.
and maybe at the top we could show the user's current location, so that if a user wants, and also give the user ability to it change the address just in case, if they want to scroll more. So if the user so that I mean, basically just at the top there will be some user's location, and then at the bottom there will be the list of restaurants. And and when user clicks on it, one of the restaurants, they could browse the. I mean, again, we may this. I mean, the user would be able to see the menu of that restaurant, and then once the user makes the payment and everything, um, we could provide the user update by by using push notification that the order is ready or something like that. The order related or notification can be given by using push
So how
notification.
those notification can be implemented? Do you have any idea? Like there should be some backend communication, right? When user selects the items and place an order, right? But you need to have some acknowledgement from the backend, right? The order is accepted, mail is prepared, mail is finished, order is picked up. So for those notification to end user, how would you implement those notifications? Do you have any idea?
Um, so Okay, so there will be a screen to show the whole step by step. So that would be coming from the backend side. So whenever user opens the screen, we need to make an API call to fetch the updated details so that it could be shown to the user through either through UI or either by through a message, something like that. But push notification will only be sent when the payment is completed and when the order is ready for pickup or maybe deliver or something like that. Then only push notification should be sent to the user. Again, we
Oh,
need to add a permission for the push notification. Also, we need to ask user like if they're okay to have this access to push notification.
okay. So basically, whenever user will open the orders page, then we will fetch the details. Is it like that, or we will get the notification about the updates of
So
that?
when user opens this particular screen where to check the order status, we need to make an API call for that.
Suppose a
To
user is not using the app, right?
Yeah.
Suppose he placed the order and he kind of closed the app. In that case, also, can we provide some notification to end user?
Yeah, I mean, push notification will work even if the app is closed. I mean, we could, I think push notification should be used when there is a relevant detail needs to be shared, like when order is completed or ready for pickup. Because every time we will be giving the status like order is preparing like that with through push notification would be very annoying for some reason. So that's the why I'm suggesting to use push notification only when there's a relevant thing needs to be shared.
When there is a change or something like that in the status or
Yeah, yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So you told me you will use the recycler view basically, correct?
Mhm.
Hmm. So why exactly you are using the recycler view? Any reason for that?
There will be lots of restaurants might be nearby the location. So just to make the UI perspective, like there is, it won't give any lag or something because it's reusing the view. So that's the reason I suggested to use recycler view so that it would give smooth scrolling to the user also, and the view will be reused as well. So yeah.
Okay. So tell me one end-to-end implementation flow with what layers you will implement to fetch the restaurant list only. Okay, from backend.
Oh,
Suppose
sorry.
some
What?
from
Yes.
backend you will you will provide some location, longitude, latitude, or something like that. and you will hit some backend API, and you will get the JSON of restaurant list. So restaurant will
Mm.
have title, some picture URL, something like that. Okay, name, and his location, like where exactly the restaurant is, uh, and distance of the restaurant. That's another thing. And yeah, these are the JSON list you will get, first part. And how would you kind of make that API call? What would be your flow structure? Like, I want to know how would you organize your end-to-end flow in Android app. So, starting from whatever you said, right? MVVM plus,
Mm-hmm.
I also need some offline support also, right? In that app. So
Yeah.
users should be able to browse the restaurant and related menus, right? So how would you tackle all those things?
So I mean, for the okay. So first of all, it would there would be a main activity which would have a recycler view and everything, and then the if I'm following the MVVM model, because the reason I'm following, because it makes testability easier, and second, if we had to add any more functionalities like that, we it would be more easier to doing with MVVM model. So yeah, so again, it will have a view model class for the main activity, which will have all the API related things. And then a repository class, which would be communicating with the API service class, and then API service would have all the API calls. And I'll be using a retrofit for it.
Okay,
uh,
retrofit.
and then in the API service class, all the declarations of API will be there. So get whatever the type of API call get put, or we would initialize inside that API service class, and repository will be communicating with the API service and get the details. The If it's a list of restaurants, for example, it would be
Hmm.
getting the list, and then there will be an model class as well, which would be taking the response into the model, just convert it into model class. So and then
What you will use for the conversion? I'm giving you the JSON data, right?
yeah.
So, what library exactly you will use for the conversion, and what annotations if you need? Do you have any idea?
So there is a serialized we would be using in the model class,
Okay,
um, and it would be JSON dependency we would be
okay,
adding for it.
okay.
And then that would be responsible for uh, mapping
Mapping and
the
everything. Mapping
model.
everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Mm, mm,
inside the view model we could okay, so now we need to tie it out. I mean, we tie this response calling with the lifecycle something, so that when the app is destroyed or anything, we shouldn't be making any API calls. So
mm,
inside our view model, we could make API calls inside the view model scope,
mm,
and update the data by either by using by using LiveData, which is lifecycle aware.
mm,
And then inside the main activity, since we are making this call when the app is launched, and
mm.
we need to display the list immediately, so
Mm.
it should be inside again it should be inside our any lifecycle scope.
Okay.
um, yeah, so repeat on life cycle could be used to check when the life cycle state is started, then only we just retrieve the details and then show and update the adapter class with the list. And
Okay.
again,
So,
adapter will be, yeah.
my next question is, whenever you kind of access the list of restaurants from repository class, right? So, how would you kind of put in those list of restaurants in view model? Like, how would you kind of notifying your activity basically when it started state in the started state, right? What mechanism you will use to put those list of restaurants?
Yeah, so Since inside the main activity we are making this API calls, maybe we would be calling that ViewModel dot the live data to check like if the API is ready, and that and inside the ViewModel also inside init method we would be making an API call. So the live data would get updated when the app is launched. So we would be checking the live data value. So if while API is loading, maybe we could give a default value to live data, like something like loading, so that our spinner could be shown to the user while the API call is completed. So if there is an error also, we could check that state as well and show the error message to the user. So yeah.
Suppose in between my internet connection was lost. Okay, so how could I kind of evaluate my internet connection? Okay, API response is one way. Okay, fine. API response is one way, but beforehand, if I want to track my internet connection in my app, how can I
Like
do that?
there is any if the internet connection is not very strong and
Uh,
API call fails because of that.
I want
So I
to
mean,
I want to notify user pre-hand basically before only key if internet connection is not there basically. If it's not
oh, we
there,
could use a connectivity manager for that to check the internet connection. So if there is an internet connection issue, I mean, after the splash screen, the we could check the internet connection and show the user message that there is no internet. Something like, please come back again.
connectivity manager is correct. Okay, connectivity manager is correct. Is there any better way to should I check with connectivity manager for each and every my internet interaction, or there is a better way to check the connectivity manager for internet status?
Mm, I mean, with each API call, we need to check the internet connection. But I mean, if the API call fails because of it, maybe we could retry every time something, some there should be a maximum
But
time we
I
could
should
retry.
be able to beforehand know there is a favorable internet connection. Can I do something like that? Is there any way in Android? If you know, connectivity manager is correct. Okay.
Mhm.
In what context? How should I use that in favorable way without? Okay. Periodic checking is one thing. Contextual checking is another thing. Like whenever I'm going for network interaction, then I will check. That's fine. But is there any very what we say um, prudent way, very stateful way in Android to check for internet connectivity in the app?
You mean the adding permissions like manifest the internet permission? I
Internet
mean,
permission is fine. Internet permission is required. I am looking for detecting the favorable internet state, connectivity state. Uh, Before, like during the lifetime of app, forget about the any internet call or something like that. During the lifetime of my app, if there is a stable internet connection is there or not. And if it's not there, I will notify user because you are also relying on push notifications also, right? So
yeah,
those also need the internet connections, right? So
yeah.
it is not always you will go for the pull mechanism. It is also the push mechanism, which is dependent on it.
Hmm.
Any
I'm not.
Android component which will notify you if there is a change in internet connectivity or something like that.
Um, um,
Are you aware of any Android component which can help you in this regard? So basically, what you need to know is if there are any system level broadcast receiver what are different types of broadcast receiver you have basically. So there are broadcast receiver, there are intents like connectivity changed or internet network changed kind of intents are there. Using those intents, you can receive the broadcast, and on those broadcasts, you can determine the state using connectivity manager. And if connectivity is not there, you can straight away notify the user like no internet connection, because full calling the network API is one thing, but you are also dependent on the push notification, which is the reverse thing,
Mhm.
right? So you don't have any active flow in that case. Okay. Okay, you are telling me MVVM, you will use MVVM, right? So
Mhm.
tell me, apart from MVVM, is there any other choice lies with you?
I mean, I haven't actively worked, but I just theoretically know that there is other architecture like um,
Okay, you
MVP,
other architecture you might be knowing something like that.
yeah, MVP.
That's a MVP. Okay, so tell me one thing. Uh, Suppose uh, in the app, along with the network restaurant list, I also plan to provide you with the filter thing, like you based on the veg, non-veg, or anything, any filter, right? Veg, non-veg, or snack kind of thing. If suppose user choose those filters, the relevant restaurant gets filtered in the list. Okay, but suddenly while doing that, user has changed the orientation of device.
uh,
From portrait, he goes to landscape kind of thing, and that activity got restarted somehow. Okay, how would I preserve the actual state of the user? Whatever filters he has applied, or whatever what to say customization he has made on the screen, right? How would I preserve that thing?
we could use save instant state for that to store the filters and everything
Okay.
if there is a change. Yeah,
Any
and
other any other alternative?
mm,
We are coming from a framework background, right? So that's why I'm asking. MVVM.
so I mean, view model always. I mean, I think even if the orientation is changed, it should be preserved.
Okay.
Uh,
MVVM gets preserved, right?
yeah.
So any reason why it gets preserved, even if activity gets restarted? Do you know the reason for that?
I mean, because view model isn't related. I mean, its life cycle is independent of the activity, so it just does. When the orientation is changed, it doesn't get destroyed like activity. So that's the reason view model has all the information related with the UI. I mean, related with whatever changed before changing the orientation.
Okay. Okay. So um okay, fine. So whenever you kind of initialize any libraries, or suppose room database you are using, right? So whatever
Mm-hmm.
initialization you have to do, right? Where exactly you do those all the library or SDK level initialization in the app, if they are needed throughout the lifetime of the app?
It should be inside the module class. So if you're using a if we are using I mean, we need to use a hilt or dagger as dagger or hilt we could use. So I mean, if you're using hilt, then we'll be declaring an object class which is a module, which has all the initialization. So for example, retrofit also I can put initialization of retrofit also I can put in there, which are needed throughout the app's lifecycle. And room also we could use it there, so it could be injected easily whenever needed.
If you are not using Hilt framework, where you can do those things?
Inside the view model, we could put the, I mean, when we, inside the view model, we could put the initialization, everything, I guess.
Uh,
Yeah.
a view model is specific to your user flow or UI flow, right? So,
Mhm.
is there any agnostic place where I can do the SDK initialization? If those SDKs, like payment SDK for that matter, okay? Even if it is
Mm.
a specific part or any analytics SDK, forget about payment, that is the wrong choice.
Mm.
If any analytics SDK is there, right? Can I initialize somewhere in the application which is agnostic to your all UI flow?
Um, I mean, we could create an application. We could create a class application class, and
Hmm.
we could put it in there, everything, and which so that it should be singleton. So basically, where it just stays there all the time throughout the app lifecycle, and yeah, and then yeah, that would be the base of that whole app,
Hmm.
and yeah, so we could use that class, yeah.
Okay.
For,
Another thing I wanted to, have you used any unit testing in your application?
yes, yeah.
Okay. So, what kind of unit test? Like, uh, how do you unit test the view model class?
I mean, for the view model, for example, if there is any API call is made, we need a test dispatcher for it to run to make the API calls inside there, inside the coroutines and etc. And if there is any parameter passed in the constructor of the view model, we need to mock those. For example, view
Hmm.
model all obviously have a repository, so we need to mock the repository class and just pass that inside the view model. And um, experiment, yeah, so just and then with we could easily test out all the API calls. For so we need to create a mocked response as well, so that whenever the repository when we make the API call which is present inside the repository, we could return when a mocked response, and then check that if that's the expected value once we call the function inside the view model, which is ultimately making the calling the function present inside the repository class, and then we match the response like that.
So, for mocking the APIs or API response, which library you have used?
Mock Mockito
Mockito. Okay,
one.
Mockito. Okay, Mockito. If I want to test the UI side of it, okay, you mentioned the view model part of it. Now, if I want to test my activity using unit testing, right? So, which framework, which Mockito is going to be there, fine. But which framework I will use? What are the other alternatives I have?
Yeah, I haven't tested the UI functionality in the just view model and repositories only did.
Actually, view model
Um,
only, repository only. Okay. Okay, fine. Suppose my UI has multiple states. Suppose uh, I want to create a, you mentioned something like single page application or something like that, right? I want to create a single activity application. Okay. So in single activity application, suppose I want to display the restaurant list, then there is a specific menu list, and then there is a cart, something like that, right? So how can I implement a flow of navigation of user inside single activity application?
Okay, so I mean, we need to show list. We need to show the menu once user clicks on the restaurant, and then the cart screen.
Correct.
There are three screens, so we could and if we want just a single page, we could just maintain one main activity, and then this whole three screens can be managed through fragments. So main activity would be launching the fragment, which is first would be the list. So the fragment would be showing the list of restaurants. Second fragment would be the menu, and third would be the fragment. Sorry, the cart.
Cart. Fine.
Would be showing.
Is there any what do you say, more formalized way in Android? Whatever you are telling, right? You can do that using fragment transaction and everything, right? Fine,
Yeah.
I agree. Is there any more formal way introduced in Android where you can declare those things, declare those navigations?
I mean, it's a navigation file, you mean?
Yeah, somewhat like that.
So instead of using fragments or just that's what you're looking for. I mean, I didn't get.
Instead of using fragments explicitly managing those fragments or managing those fragment transactions, is there any better declarative way in Android to manage whatever you are trying to achieve, right? From this fragment to that fragment to this fragment, that navigation and everything. Can you? Is there any more formal or better way in Android?
Mm, not very sure about it.
So in your project, you're directly using fragment transaction. Is it like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. So how much part of your project is in Java and how much part is in Kotlin, or it is both Kotlin and Java?
It's full Kotlin only, not
Acha, it's
Java. We
full
only.
Kotlin. Okay, it's full Kotlin. Okay. Have you heard of Navgraph?
Sorry, Navgraph.
Navgraph. Okay, that is
Yeah,
what I
yeah, yeah.
was asking to you. Okay, fine.
But
Uh,
Navgraph could be used for fragments, right?
yeah, yeah. It's basically
Yeah.
declarative way of defining navigation in between the fragments.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought instead of using fragments, but
Instead
yeah.
of
I mean,
instead of directly managing those fragments, right? So using
okay, okay.
fragment transactions and everything, there is a more abstract layer of kind of defining those navigation, like from where you can go, which are the paths you can go, basically.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know that Navgraph, but I,
okay.
I I thought it's you're looking for different, and I mean I didn't get the exact question. Sorry,
So I
but
was
yeah,
looking for
Navgraph.
a more declarative way of fragment
Yeah, it just
navigation.
creates a graph from one fragment to
Yeah,
another, like link.
yeah.
It just shows the link and everything. Yeah.
So this is a declarative way of managing the navigation through fragments only, but you are not doing any fragment transaction, you are not doing explicit fragment handling, but you are using the nav graph only. And you are
But
managing,
inside main activity, we need the transaction, fragment transaction to call the first fragment. Um,
what do you need? And now you come. Like for nav graph, to initialize that nav graph, to trigger that nav graph, what you exactly need in main activity? You tell me.
we need a navigation file, which would
Navigation file,
be
I'm fine, but who will manage that navigation file? Basically, who will track that navigation file and trigger that navigation, start that navigation, stop that navigation? Which there is a component in Android like Navgraph. There, along with Navgraph, there is a also code component also.
the fragment component, which we'll be adding in the main
Na-
activity.
with Navgraph, you will not by in some cases you will go inside a fragment, do something, but on a high level, when you are outside the fragment, right, inside the activity, there is one component, particular controller kind of component, which will manage the nav graph.
Mm,
In your project, that nav graph is not used. Is it like that?
no, I mean, Navgraph is used, but inside the main activity, which would be calling the first fragment. Uh, the transaction is the one which was fragment transaction used to just.
If you bare fragment, if you're going to manage the fragment with your bare controls, then you need a fragment transaction. Fine, I agree. But if you're going through the nav graph route, you don't need that. You just need actions.
Navigation file isn't sufficient enough to. I mean,
Navigation file is
navigation file is
sufficient.
also.
It's sufficient, but still there is a component who is managing that navigation file on activity level. I also partially told you the answer also, I think. Navigation controller is the component basically. Along with navgraph, a navigation
Oh,
controller is the component which will manage your navgraph basically on activity level. That is the thing. Okay. I think I covered. Okay, you mentioned something like live data you will use to update the data in activity, right? Along apart from live data, is there any other alternative you are aware of to pass the data to into the activity or notify activity about the updated data?
we could use flow also. Flow
That is
can be also used instead of live data.
what is
Uh,
the difference between flow and live data? Can you explain?
So live data is life cycle aware. So in the activity, we could directly observe the live data using an observer and everything. It's not required to be done inside any life cycle thing. But for the flow, flow is not life cycle aware. So it should be it needs to be properly managed inside the life cycle thing. So inside the main activity, we need to check the data of the flow and then update the UI, etc. Inside the lifecycle state, and so that it won't be get triggered. So it wouldn't block the main thread.
Okay, okay, fine. Which database you have used? Like which database framework you have used?
No, in project. I mean, in my company, we don't use database, but I have practiced room database just for the practicing the interviews and
So
everything.
what exactly you use? Then there is no data in your current app, is something like that.
We are not caching any data, or we just everything is on dependent on the network. So yeah, if there's no
Okay,
network.
pure network. Okay, okay, fine. You mentioned something when you are using retrofit, right? You are using some API service annotation and some API annotation, something like that, right?
Mm.
Uh, have you explored how those annotation gets interpreted inside the retrofit library? Are you aware of any design pattern which interprets your annotation and data you have configured inside that annotation?
I mean, retrofit manages everything inside its own. So um, no, not much idea about that one.
Okay. Uh, okay. At least in case of room database, have you explored how those annotation work?
Mm, no.
No, no. Okay, fine. Not an issue. Uh, Another thing. Suppose I have in my quick buy tab, I have different payment options. Okay, some credit
Mm,
card, some debit card, some UPI, or some cash on delivery. Okay. Suppose I want
mm.
to uh, declare those payment options using Kotlin. Which class type I will use to declare those payment options?
So there are three payment options. So we could use some an enum class, which would be payment options with the three ones with the three values. And
Suppose I have some different handling, some different parameters with respect to credit card, with respect to UPI, and with respect to cash on delivery. So how would I manage those things using enum? Is there in better way in Kotlin?
mm, enum class.
Enum is right. enum is right. I'm not saying enum you cannot use enum or something like that. But is there any better alternative depending on this payment option? Suppose in credit card, I need to kind of capture 3 or 4 different inputs, right? Like card number, CVV, expiry day, expiration month, something like that. In case of UPI, I don't need to do anything. I just need a UPI ID, right? Or I just need a scan or something like that. In case of cash on delivery, I don't have anything like I just I I just need a boolean parameter if cash is received or not, right? So I have different parameters or different contextual parameters. Enum is you can do that, but then your handling you need to do differently. Since handling is different, is there any better way where I can still refer them as enum, but still kind of heterogeneously I can add the handling to those payment options?
Um, not not getting it.
Okay. Which what are the class types in Kotlin? Tell me. Which class types you have used in the Kotlin?
I mean, class tabs. I mean, what exactly?
There are class types, right? Like data class, inline class,
Mhm.
right? Are you aware of any further class
I
types?
mean, data class. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Used
data
on
class.
data.
But yeah, is there any other class types in Kotlin apart from data class?
Mm,
Have you used anything in your project apart from data class? Any other class type?
I might have used, but I'm not getting the. It's not getting triggered. Like
Yeah,
what
sure, sure.
exactly?
Okay, fine. Mm,
I
have
mean,
you
would you be able
heard?
to tell me?
I can tell you, it's mock interview, but still you should be knowing all those things. Like sealed classes is the thing, basically. You
Seal class.
using sealed classes,
Yeah.
using sealed classes, you can uh, represent heterogeneous types at the same level, basically.
I
Enum,
mean, we use this
yeah,
seal class.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, enum uses homogeneous types. Sealed can use heterogeneous types at the same level. Declare and use the heterogeneous types at the same level. You
Yeah. We
have you
use
used sealed classes?
yeah to manage the states. So, for example, when we make an API call, we can use this seal class to check the status, like if it's success, error, or loading state, and then pass that accordingly. Yeah.
Is there any that states doesn't have any different parameters or something like that?
I
Success,
mean, for the loading,
what,
it should be there
how
is no
success,
parameter.
just how success is declared, how error is declared. Can you throw some light on that?
I mean, so for loading and error, it's just we don't need anything. We don't need any value. So it can be declared as an object, data object loading or data object error.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the success, the result, we need the result. So for the success, we could declare data class success and then pass the
Data
result.
inside that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's,
Oh,
and yeah.
okay. So similarly, wanted to frame the payment thing. Fine. Uh, Activity we
Okay.
covered, service we covered. Okay. If I want to schedule a job, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose I want to suppose some 26th January is coming or something, some kind of festival is coming, and I want to show some targeted notification to the end user on the schedule basis. Which library I should use to schedule certain notification locally without any using push notification or something? Which using which library I can schedule and show notification at particular day or something like that? Suppose I want to schedule a task. Suppose there is a regular task where I need to kind of make a network call and check for campaigns or sync data for campaigns. Okay, so I want to kind of schedule a task when user is not using the device. Okay, and device has at least a battery level around 30%, and device is on non-metered network using these three restrictions. If they satisfy, I want to schedule a task in the night.
Which Android library?
Which Android library using, which I can check for all these constraints and schedule a task.
Scheduler. That's
Are you aware of any library or scheduling mechanism in Android?
no.
No, okay. Have you heard about work manager or something like that?
Work manager, yes, I heard about that
But
one.
you haven't used, yeah, in your project?
No.
Okay, okay. So you should be
Okay.
knowing work manager, you should be knowing different alternatives to the work manager. There are also alternatives to the work manager, okay? So there is a job scheduler and everything. Okay, fine. Uh, is there anything left to cover? I think I covered most of the topics. I tried to kind of cover as much landscape as I can, but try to be aware about, at least go through the Android documentation. Okay, get get hold of new things. What are the new mechanisms like scheduling and everything? What are the what is a recommended way of doing things? There could be some legacy things which are still working, but there are also new recommendations like Jetpack Compose and everything. Even though you are not using in your project, but you should know where to use, why to use, and if possible, what are the Android API restrictions or something like Android version restrictions if there are any. These are required. I don't know which interview at which company you are targeting the interview. Like if it's a product based, I think it 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 doesn't matter that much. But if it's a captive or service based, it it will matter kind of.
Okay.
So currently
Android
you
version is. Yeah, sorry.
currently in which company you are working? Like which kind of company you are working? Not exact company, but which kind of company? It's a product based or startup kind of thing.
No, it's not. It's not a startup. It's just a retail company. It's been a while, so
It's a
it's
captive kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay, captive. Okay. And whatever interview you are giving to is also captive or product based?
Yeah.
It's captive only.
It's also, yeah.
So in captive, I think depending on the domain of the app, right? So they will ask such questions like whatever things they will require in their app. If there are certain, if there is scheduling, if there is a nav graph usage, extensive usage, then they will focus on those areas. Okay, data structure algorithm for first 2 3 rounds they will entertain problem solving and everything, but then they will grill on required areas. Be sure on that.
So for CS foundations also, it would be like basic CS questions, like what if it they're looking for some usage of stacks, queues, or like what exactly would it be, or would it be around Android?
Uh-huh. For problem solving, they will go for divide and conquer, dynamic programming, tree, graph. Stack queue will be uh, in the first round, if not for the second round. In first round, they will ask for stack queue and everything, but at least they will go up to the tree and graph. If they really want to drill about problem solving, then they will go for divide and conquer and dynamic programming. Otherwise, I think 4 level experience, they will go up to the tree graph, hash map and hash code and hash functions. That much they will cover. And then depending on the product, which area they want extensive knowledge, they will drill you on those particular topics of Android. Okay, so be aware. At least you should know how to detect the network using receivers. Apart from network, what else things you can track and get the state of the Android device. Those things you should know basically, like optimum
Okay.
usage of Android APIs, derivation of optimum derivation. Those things you should, at least if you don't know, at least try to use chat GPT and everything to get the best answer. Like what are other alternatives? Also go to your project, go to the source code of the project and try to gather the use cases and try to find the better way, better solution. If there is a better, there can be some code is written at certain point in time and there could be a better alternatives already available. So at least you will get aware, right? See if there are any better way to do the thing.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Karishma. I think thanks for your time. All the best for your future interviews. Yeah. The thing is, if you are targeting captive now, they will use the product specific question. They will ask the product specific question, and if their product require nav graph or any other particular Android functions extensively, then they will gonna grill you. So in my case, in our product, there is a multi-process, multi-proc thing is extensively used in Microsoft. So we use that thing basically.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Thanks, Karishma, for your time. All the best. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.